Yo, Shortbox Nation, this is Botter, and I'm here to tell you right now that con season starts early this year with the return of Northeast Florida's premier anime, comic book, and sci-fi event, Collective Con. That's right, Northeast Florida's largest pop culture convention returns for its 10th year on March 8th through the 10th at the Prime Osborne Center in Jacksonville, Florida. 10 years of Collective Con, they're pulling all the stops out to make sure this is a can't-miss event. And the guest list they got going, don't even get me started on the guest list. I mean, they've got A-list celebrity guests and voice actors from some of your favorite movies, anime, and video games like Elijah Wood and Sean Ashton, Ray Park, Trisha Helfer, Ross Marquand, Max Middleman, and Bo-Katan herself will be there, Katie Sackhoff. Tell me what other convention is giving you the opportunity to meet Frodo and Sam from Lord of the Rings, Darth Maul, and One Punch Man all under the same roof. Only at Collective Con. And if you're looking to get some of your favorite comics signed, or if you want to get an original sketch from some of the best comic artists in the world, well, you're in luck, because there'll be plenty of comic and creator guests there, like DC comic artist extraordinaire Clay Mann, Harvey Award-nominated illustrator John Taylor Christopher, Marvel and DC cover artist Chris Stevens, and acclaimed Star Wars author Timothy Zahn. They'll all be at Collective Con this year. And if you're looking to bring the family, or if you want to make a weekend out of it, you're in luck, because there'll be so much going on at Collective Con that weekend in the form of vendors, fan panels, video game tournaments, cosplay contests, after parties, and a bunch of fan events. You can purchase single and 3-day weekend passes now using the link in this episode's show notes, or by going to collectivecon.com to book your tickets and hotel. Buy your tickets now, and I'll see you at Collective Con, March 8th through the 10th. Now let's start the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Mr. Shortbox, Season 6, yeah.
Yo, Shortbox Nation, welcome to episode 275. This is a very special Sunday morning edition of the Shortbox podcast, because we are broadcasting and recording live from Orlando at the big homie Walt's house, with the Soul Election radio just being turned off.
Yeah.
I'm your host, Botter Milligan. I got my right-hand man, Andrew Torres, here with me.
What up, guys?
And, of course, I already said it, but the big homie, Walter Gant.
Good morning, everyone.
Yes. First episode of 2020 with Walt on board. Guaranteed at least one Walt episode a year here on the Shortbox podcast.
Yeah, at least one. Yeah.
At least one. And I think me and Drew were talking about this, how it's kind of become our, our annual tradition to, our annual tradition to, like, come down here, like, in January. Like, this is our second or third year coming down here
early,
January.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely. No, I'm just excited. I'm just excited to be nominated. Yeah, but me and Barter were just like hyping, talking about, like, man, every time we come here, it's just like, yo, I get jazzed about reading comic books. Me and Barter fighting for the back room and for the best. And then we go and read comic books. This shit's fun. And then we get some knowledge bestowed upon us. Like,
yeah.
Sometimes I feel like you're like Odin.
Yo.
Thank you for that,
First of all, so my bad. He said we get jazzed.
I said a word something, and Potter's like, "Coach, don't you ever use that word in front of me. We're in the flea market, and I can't even think of it."
Yeah, he said some. You ever just have like friends say some random ass words, and you're like, "That's not in your vocabulary." Like, where did you pick that up? Like, don't use that. But anyways, man, we got a fun show today. If you're a longtime listener of the Shortbox podcast, you might be familiar with our Bag and Board episodes, and those are the episodes where it's us three talking about the latest comic books, as well as things that we've read and just kind of music. It really ends up being one long champion season episode, so it's really our chance to kind of catch up amongst us three on the different things that we read, because we as close friends we are, we don't talk on the phone every day or a lot. I mean, we really kind of save it for these trips to Orlando to do a massive catch up.
Or if I'm down there or whatever, we'll even if we don't pod it, we'll end up still linking up, having a couple drinks, and like, have you read this? Have you read that?
Yep.
But it's always doper, like, if you're at someone's house or something like that, because like Drew, I'll kind of let Drew kind of go into what he was doing this morning, but he was like, "Yo, this happened and then this," and I was like, Oh yeah, I do got all that back there. So yeah, so
It was nice. Like, I feel like I was just browsing like the files. I'm like, all right, let me go see real quick. And it's just nice setup. So this morning, like I woke up early, like a little mouse.
Unreasonably, early. Like what me and Walt was out on the front porch at 9 a.m, and I was like, there's no way Drew's still sleeping. He's like an early riser. And it turns out you've been reading comic books in the back since 5 a.m.
Yeah, man, I was like, Walt has all the X-Men that I haven't read, so I was just like, all right, I'm gonna go read these. This shit is fucking fun.
So one thing real quick, if you know this is your first time tuning in, I've got my little special portable setup, so some of the sound quality might be a little different.
Are
since
you
we're
making
doing
excuses now? All right, cool.
Well,
best time to do it. Best time to do it. Get it out the way.
So that way, in case they hear a varying audio levels, just to kind of get that out of the way. But what was I going to say? Oh yeah, real quick. Since this is, one of the episode 275, it is sponsored by our sponsor, Collective Con, North Florida's premier, pop culture, comic book, anime convention is returning for its 6th year in March. You'll find out more about that later in this episode, but shout outs to Collective Con and our sponsor. With that being said, let us go ahead and jump into the main convo. There's, fortunately, perfect timing, on our way down for this drive. Marvel announced 2 kind of major new titles coming out, and between us 3, I think we definitely always bond over X-Men and Avengers. It always seems like so. It was kind of perfect timing that Marvel also happens to be announcing these 2 new Avengers series, or I'm sorry, they're big kind of 2020 event as well as this new X-Men series. I figured we could talk about this latest their big 2020 event, Empire. So. That's apparently written by Al Ewing and Dan Slott, and we've got our boys from freaking House of X, Power of X joining them on the art, Pepe Larez and RB Silva.
I would like to check on the working.
So are those dudes just gonna be the new? Okay, we're doing an event artists now.
Which I'm kind of okay with.
Yes, I am because those books look beautiful.
Listen, all I want to do is just check the working conditions on RB Silva and Pepe Larez and make sure they're okay. They're like, hey guys, guess what? Good job. Hey, can we get a break? You're not going fucking nowhere.
I was wondering why they hadn't showed up on any of these Hickman books at all.
Hell no, they're gonna be
because they've been drawing this.
Yeah, I feel like they have a blindfold on them and they're just they can't talk to any fans or anybody because I haven't seen these guys in cons. That's why I want to make sure they're okay.
Well, granted, they might. I mean, it's not uncommon right now for especially the big 2 to be outsourcing their art to Southern Americans or South Americans.
Oh,
and I would not be surprised. I mean, and this might be me reaching, whatever, being stereotypical. But I mean, Pepe Larez, RB Silva, I think are, I think both of those dudes are definitely South Americans. If not South America, then they're definitely. I don't know if they are living here in the States.
They may live here in the States, but they may not because who is it that it's one of those artists that it's dude's on the tip of my tongue. But there's a lot of Spanish. There's just a lot of Hispanic artists right now.
Oh yeah,
that's just a thing. You just well, this is super dope. And then you see the names I cannot pronounce this name.
I don't think it was I don't want to even say it. I don't even want to go on a limb. Let me look up right now, just all the artists. But let's keep it rolling.
Yeah.
So why is so this new series? Here's where I kind of got out of that Marvel.com article about this new series. So Dan Slott, Al Ewing are the architects. It's supposed to land in April. And as always, the damn solicitation read that it's a accumulation of decades worth of Marvel storytelling in an epic sci-fi tapestry that would delight both longtime comic fans and newcomers.
Okay, did you read what was it? Marvel? Is it the Marvel Presents? Or which one was the newest book that had that ghost, the guy with the ghost face on it? The Incoming book. Was it called Incoming?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so they kind of laid out the groundwork for that in Incoming.
Yeah.
With the when Hulkling comes back, he makes out with Wiccan for a little bit. He's like, I got to shake. So the other underground thing in that was that they was trying to figure out why this random dude got murdered. And that dude that got murdered, I think, was the Kree. And the guy had been married to a Skrull. And Hulkling was that kid. Or not Hulkling was, but Hulkling was kind of the gift of that. So he goes back to the Empire, and now with the Kree and the Skrulls are merged together now, and their plan is to take Earth. And that kid is the chosen. Hoagland is the chosen one, basically. He's the golden child. That's what that shows. If you read the last couple pages of Incoming, it's on there. Yeah. I think that's the name of that story, though.
So it sounds like they've done like a little bit of groundwork.
There's a lot of groundwork.
Decades worth?
It's definitely decades worth.
Really?
Yeah, because it ties into Kree Scroll stuff and like
You know what? But
all that. Yeah,
I feel like that's. I don't know if it's as involved as I guess
it's not as involved as you think. No.
I really think when they say things like, "Yo, this event," bless you, Drew. When they say this event has been, in the works for a long time, I really think it's just them saying, "Okay, what's already been established?"
That's
in these big
exactly
events,
what it is.
And where is the whole?
10 years in the making.
Where is the holes, or where can we fit this story in
Exactly.
and kind of draw from?
It's basically just the one beauty of like we joke about it all the time, but the beauty of Stan Lee basically creating a universe is that all this stuff is slightly tied in with each other anyway. So it's not like a bunch of other crazy people had like Genesis in the initial architect of the Marvel universe.
Yeah.
So everyone is just kind of biting this toward the end of it.
You're going
to have to go way to the end. That's like a 100-page book. I'm going to get you the fair one with you
so
on
let me
that
keep going with
But
this,
that's what it is, though.
Solicitation. So, I mean, it sounds like, it kicks off in April with these two, like, issue zeros, like Empire Avengers and then Empire's Fantastic Four. And, Dan Slott's doing Fantastic Four, and Al Ewing, I think, is doing the Avengers arc of it. But and the way they break it down is for the Avengers, they got it solicited as old allies have returned and the Avengers are called to the new green area of the moon to help face a terrible enemy. And for the Fantastic Four breakdown, it's the Fantastic Four will witness the conflict of the Kree Skrull War and meet a long-hidden elder of the universe, the mysterious Profiteer.
Well, isn't the Profiteer in one of these books we were just talking about earlier today?
True.
What? Sorry.
Isn't the Profiteer one of the people in those Avenger books where they
like there's no Avengers, no Avengers, no Surrender.
Is
no
the Profiteer one of the people in one of those?
Which one is he? Like
I think he was the one who had the bet.
The Profiteer who had the bet? No, I think it was the two Grandmasters that were doing the bet.
One was a Grandmaster and one had a different name, but they were both elders.
Yeah, but he wanted to. But he was the original Grandmaster that was cheated out of him.
That's what it was. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
cool.
like you find out there was two Grandmasters. This guy, I think he just shows up for the first time in this.
So
book.
he's a new elder.
He's a new elder that shows up in the first book.
I wonder how much that's tied into Franklin creating this whole new universe in general.
Definitely it's going to be one of those. It's
Okay.
definitely going to be one of those. It's going to be one of those things where like, Hickman takes off his mask and was behind it the whole time.
Yeah. And I would have got away with it if it wasn't for you meddling kids.
So, just based off this solicitation, does it pique your interest? Does it pique a long-time Marvel comic reading fans' interest?
It piques it enough. I tend to just go ahead and read these events, even if they're not like something I'm super looking forward to. There's always ramifications for future stories based off what they do in these things. And they're giving Al Ewing, Dan Slott been there for a while, and Al Ewing has been there for like the last 6-7 years. So they're giving them kind of like the keys to. Like, let's honestly see what you got.
I think this is really cool because I don't know who's going to be head if they're co-writers. I think Dan Slott's really good with a lot of ideas.
Yeah.
But Al Ewing's going to be the best way of like getting to those ideas.
Correct.
And in such a way that you're like, fuck, this was dope.
Didn't Al Ewing wrote that that Ultimates book I liked a lot, I think. Was he the one with Captain Marvel?
Ultimates, yes, he did.
He had, to me, the second best idea I've ever read in a comic book for a long thing in character, and that is the Galactus Lifebringer thing.
Oh, okay, yeah. So
that idea was I was like, oh, why has no one ever done this before in all the years? So that dude he's good at writing all that cosmic stuff.
He's basically like, let's just make him a good guy, and they're like, whoa,
yeah.
But I totally understand what you're saying because.
It's just such a simple,
and not even, it's just, and it's not even let's make him a good guy. Let's just let's just change his power set. Instead of him destroying worlds.
Listen, he's still gonna fuck up shit.
Yeah.
You just gotta get him there.
Let's get him, yeah.
Yo, sometimes you stop off for a drink and you're like, I'm gonna get my shit together. You know, every year you're like, yo, I'm gonna do so good. You get a new fit, start working out.
So you're describing Galactus as like
His New Year's resolution.
Yeah, New Year, new me.
Yo. It's like, yo. Ali was like, bro, I get it. It's been a hard year for a lot of us,
Yeah.
man. Like,
But hear me out, guys. How about Galactus as a good guy?
Yo, it's like you ever see that gif of them that they use for at the Jesus camp? You ever see the Jesus camp gif? Where like all these little kids were having like these spasms because they was at Jesus camp. And they was like, and they use it every time like Cameron is doing something. They was like, like all these little white kids are just going, Look up the
Actually, I think I know. I mean, I've been on the internet enough that yeah. So
the Jesus camp gif.
So it sounds like both of you guys are at least piqued interest.
I'm gonna read it. Yeah.
Drew said something pretty interesting though, because I'm seeing that. I don't know if this is a new trend, but just judging, I'm just kind of basing it off of how hyped Drew has been over like Avengers No Surrender, that series, and then No Road Home, that series. Both of those big events having like multiple writers and quote unquote architects, like, you know, kind of steering the story. I wonder if this is something that we're going to see more of, especially with this Empire. You know, them saying that Al Ewing and Dan Slott are both the quote unquote architects of the story. Like, I wonder if we're going to get more of that, like, you know, that whether it's two writers or multiple writers.
Yes. For the simple fact is, these movies are doing so fucking good because they're letting these guys do the movies kind of with like a little bit of a checks and balance, but they're letting these creative guys like do creative things.
Wait, did you mean the movies or the comics?
I'm talking about both. I'm just saying, like, the reason why this is happening is because, like, Disney's honestly probably, or Marvel's running out of, like, really original ideas, stories, and they're like, yo, we need to fucking come up with something because Civil War 2 is going to sound stupid or whatever. Let's do.
Man, there's nothing to do in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
Did somebody say there's nothing to Duval in Jacksonville?
Danny Duval? What are you doing here?
Your ignorance summoned me. Now shut up and listen to these words. North Florida's premier anime, comic book, sci-fi, and pop culture event, Collective Con, returns for its 6th year. On March 20th through the 22nd, stars from The Mandalorian, Game of Thrones, Supernatural, The Crow, Dragon Ball Z, and even famous Pokemon card illustrator Mitsuhiro Arita is flying in from Japan to join in on the fun.
Wow! That sounds awesome!
Why are you still standing here? Go buy your tickets today at CollectiveCon.com, you lovable Nimrods!
Well, that's why they had to go ahead and... That's why we got the slate of movies we got this year, to be honest with you. We got, what is it? We only getting Eternals, Black Widow.
Okay.
And is that it?
I think so. That I can either confirm nor deny, but we'll get there.
Yeah, I think, yeah. Matter of fact,
Drew said that like he was on stand or something.
So, yeah. So,
Most professional
Matter of fact,
episode of my life.
You know what? Yeah. Oh, and the other thing is because they're doing all this stuff on the TV side.
Yeah.
So that's why we only getting those two movies. And if we learn anything from Disney Plus, if they're going to do everything kind of treated like The Mandalorian was treated, then these TV shows are going to be like movies anyway. And like you say, you're going to need original ideas. And the only way you're going to get those ideas truly is from taking them from the comic books and putting them on the screen.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to imagine Marvel, the comic arm of the leg, a little more separate than I think the
I
rest.
normally do too.
So
yeah.
I want to, if I'm just looking at it from that perspective, I wonder if it has anything to do with their previous past of like Rick Remender comes to mind when he did the big Axis story arc. I think like Jason Aaron when he did Original Sin. I wonder if they've now realized, we can't give just one writer the responsibility for doing our big crossover event. It's just too much. Like,
I don't know if that's the case.
Why not?
Those, because
but I mean, it would almost make sense to be advantageous to be like, hey, let's bring two writers that are like our best to like kind of build out and flesh out this big.
That may be some of it, but I think to me it makes more. To me, it kind of makes more sense based on the properties those people are doing. Because Dan Slott's the one writing Dan Slott's writing Fantastic Four now.
And he's doing Iron Man 2020.
Yeah, so it just makes sense that you would have him there for the character that you're going to keep him on. Like, typically, what you're talking about, if Jason Aaron is writing Original Sin at that point, was Jason Aaron, he wasn't writing Avengers yet, was he? No, he wasn't writing Avengers yet. But you could already tell they had a bunch of other stuff for him in the works because he was writing that Thor book, and that Thor book was kind of hot. And Remender, originals, Remender did Axis. Well, that was like kind of like a fake event because that wasn't supposed to be an event.
They made that an event.
They made that an event.
Like, we need an event, and they're like, "Yo, we'll use this.
We'll just use this storyline." That wasn't supposed to be an event. That was supposed to only be an Uncanny Avengers.
Yo, this is Botter. Sorry for interrupting this episode, but I'll keep it brief. I wanted to let you know about a massive sale we have going on over at the Shortbox Store on all of our merchandise and apparel. That's theshortboxstore.bigcartel.com. You can now save 20% off your entire order using the discount code YOO, Y-O-O. So if you've been waiting for the right time to finally buy that gauntlet snapback, or if you ever wanted to buy any of the shirts you see me wear on the podcast, well, now's your chance to get them for a steal. We still have a few sizes left of everything, but they won't last long, and once they're gone, they are gone. And then I mentioned that all of our apparel is screen printed on high quality material. None of that heat transfer or direct to garment stuff. Our shirts are some of the most comfortable ones you'll ever wear, and the hats look even better in person. So wear your support for the Shortbox Nation proudly, knowing that you're going to look damn good doing it. Get to theshortboxstore.bigcartel.com as soon as you can, and don't forget to use that discount code YOO, Y-O-O, to save 20% off your entire order. All of this information can be found in this episode's show notes if you want to get there faster. Thanks for not pressing fast forward. Now back to the show.
I don't even want to go into my question of what happened to Marvel saying they weren't going to do any more big, crossover events. But that's like a topic for another day. But every time I see these like headlines, I'm like, "Yo, did y'all not pay attention to what you put out?"
Yeah,
like
that's the one thing that I think was funny. I think it'd be funny. Next show we need to do when they come out, we should do the digging of the dirt and be like, "Yo, this is what they said. How do we feel about this?"
I feel like you could make a whole like podcast season of that. Like Marvel said this in 2016, but ended up doing this.
Yeah.
Oh, so, okay.
It ain't like they changed the dude. CB, I can't say his name worth a damn either.
CB Bolowski?
Yeah.
Bolowski?
So he's
liar.
Definitely liar.
What was his Japanese name? It's probably easier to pronounce.
What is his Japanese name? I forgot his Japanese name.
Lone Wolf and Cub.
Yeah.
All right. So and then, it sounds like we're both all kind of excited, at least interested.
We're interested.
In where this
yeah,
goes.
I think. Yeah.
And mainly for me, it's because of like the artist attached to it.
That's
like,
the artist.
I am a-okay if they just keep a dedicated artist for big events. 'Cause that's always been one of my bigger gripes for like these big crossover events. Is that sometimes you don't have the same artist or they don't put out the books on time because you're stretching them too thin.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're drawing like 2 other titles and you want me to draw like this recurring like monthly big thing, like whatever, 48 pages.
Correct.
So if they designate like, hey, you two are fucking amazing.
That is something that guy has been pretty on point with, the Suba Lesky guy, though, is that the stuff they have done for the most part has been out on when it's supposed to be out.
Yeah.
Especially these big events. House of X came out fine.
All right. So with that kind of being covered, I want to talk about this other, title that Marvel announced, and it's X-Men, and it's X-Men related. So this one, I believe, also comes out sometime in.
That's in April.
Yeah,
that book is in April.
But it's like maybe 2 weeks. 2 weeks right now. Like that's what it's gonna feel like.
It is. Yeah.
So, but it's a new X-Men title. It's called Children of the Atom, which. I'm surprised there hasn't been a ongoing X-Men series with this name already, right? Well, there was also like a mini series too with it, but it's going to be a new ongoing series from.
Is it a 90s series?
It was like a painted cover.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think you know what I'm talking about. But this new ongoing series will be from writer Vita Ayala and artist Bernard Chang, which I've heard of the artist. I think
I've heard of the art. I've heard of the writer too.
Really, I think she's doing Morbius right now.
I think so, but she had been hinted at doing. They had talked about her name because I'm like deep on X-Men Twitter. So they had
the episode titled "Deep in X-Men Twitter 2020" coming out.
X-Men Twitter, X-Men Reddit. I've been on all them joints. So what they was saying was it was her book and it was Leah Williams' book that they kept saying, well, we know that they're doing some books, and I want to get into the Leah Williams book because that's the one I'm more excited about than this one. And they both come out in April. But this Children of Autumn seems like it's going to be based on Sinister with the splicing. Like that early splicing that we kind of see advance. That's what that book truly looks like.
And that might actually be a good. And for anyone listening, I think if you just type in, Children of Atom #1 Marvel 2020, you'll see the cover. But I mean, the cover is like a big kind of homage to. Actually, no, it looks like an original cover. I won't lie.
Yeah, but the other thing too about this is that when I read the synopsis for it, they're saying the exact opposite of what I think this book is. Because they're saying these kids grew up idolizing X-Men.
Yeah. And I found this kind of quote from the article when the announcement was, so the cast is still a mystery, but they're obviously teens that have been inspired by the X-Men. Just judging from the cover, I mean, you got kind of like a Cyclops archetype, Angel archetype, Nightcrawler, Gambit archetype, et cetera, et cetera. And the way that the writer broke it down, Vita Ayala, she says the initial seed of the idea actually came from editor Chris Robinson. He asked, what if the X-Men had sidekicks, explains Ayala. My take on it became, what would actual kids from our current time be like if they were X-Men sidekicks? What would Gen Z X-Men be like?
Yeah.
Which is... I'm like, all right, that's cool. I mean, you're bringing it into like modern time.
Yeah, I'll buy it.
And if it isn't for me, then at least it'll be for like this current
someone will like it.
Yeah, like this current age of kids. Which me and you had a conversation last night. Is maybe like definitely Marvel and DC and just comic books in general's biggest, I think, obstacle right now is getting like a fresh batch of like young readers to continue.
They have the same issue that baseball has. Is that
cheating?
Well, this week in particular, cheating, yes.
Cheating.
But those numbers are looking funny. But but what comic books has is baseball has this issue where like there's not as many young fans of baseball. So this is the constant thing you hear. How do we get younger people into baseball? Yada yada yada. And it's the same thing with comic books. It's the same thing with a lot of stuff. Is that how do we get younger people into this? Because you want it
really
to go.
Creepy if you really think about it. Like, how do we get the young people in here? Like that.
Look, because they're looking at it more as a growth of the thing. Because you're looking at it as a growth. If I don't
get you in early, then I'm not going to get your money.
If I can get a 6-year-old, it's the same thing with like you look at professional. We can use professional wrestling as like a perfect diagram of something that always keeps little kids on it. Every kid goes through a phase where I like wrestling. Yeah. Everyone has had their like. And not only is it a phase, it lasts you for, I don't know, like about 6 years. Then you stop watching wrestling. I'm too old to watch wrestling now. And then all of a sudden you like drunk at a bar, you drunk at your homie's house, and they got playing like WrestleMania 13. Like, I've not seen this forever. Let's watch the rest of these things on the WWE network. So now you just back in immediately. You just been sucked back in, and now you're buying championship belts and all kinds of what.
That's so funny you said it because the happenstance of that was like the like a couple months ago, I was out at a bar and this dude was carrying out a WWO belt, and I was just like, "Damn!" Like
that belt looks hard. They always look hard.
And then I was just like, "Yo, man, it's a dope belt." And like him and his crew just got really excited because they just talking about wrestling. I guess there was a wrestling event going on, so this is just like one of those like things that they were coming.
Oh, this probably was AEW down there. That's probably when y'all had AEW down there.
Probably, yeah. But the one thing that was crazy because then I got in a conversation about wrestling. Off the top of my head, real quick, just so, because I've asked Ed and I asked Jackie Black, do you admire Japanese wrestling more or Mexican wrestling?
I like Japanese wrestling more.
Ah, okay. To me, it's a little bit more like hardcore, like.
Yeah, real quick, just a complete off tangent, then we get back to this.
Sorry, Barter. Like,
don't worry, no.
Yell at us.
This is a bags and board episode. So I guess you can see the beauty in luchador. I can see the beauty in luchador wrestling because I've definitely sat down and watched it. It's a lot of jumping, a lot of flipping, and like their characters are more built out and more fleshed out.
Yeah,
and they kind of have legacy characters too, which is like a thing.
You want to talk about the Marvel and Avengers universe, like Mexican luchador?
Luchador wrestling is like a universe in itself. Yeah. Like this week when La Parka died, it was like, wait, is that the same La Parka? And it was a different La Parka. That's how wild Mexico is with the wrestling. Japanese wrestling is just more hardcore. Like the punches and the kicks just or more intense.
Very much so. You can hear the slaps.
You can hear it.
Those slaps are hard.
So I'm more of a New Japan person, but we can go back to Leo.
Well, I was kind of laughing because the way like Walt described that whole scenario of falling back in love with wrestling, I wanted to ask him if it was real personal because like the way he was going, he's like,
no,
the next thing you know, you spend like $500, and then like
I've never not fallen. I've never stopped watching wrestling for the most part.
Right.
So I was just one of those people who just like wrestling just enough to where I will always watch wrestling. Now, I don't watch it like every Monday. No, that's 3 hours. I'm not watching anything for 3 hours. No. This is out of the question. But on those pay-per-views and stuff, I always watch them. So, like, it's Royal Rumble is next week. So I'll be watching Royal Rumble. That's a guarantee. Because that's the road to WrestleMania. So once Royal Rumble happens, then I kind of know where we're going. I can see where we're heading for WrestleMania, which is the big show. And this year it's in Tampa.
I've never once heard it put that beautifully.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's the road to WrestleMania. But let's get on to the Leah Williams book.
Cozy, Malcolm, Shaggy Black, that wrestling talk was for you, baby. So back to this Children of the Atom book. I mean, based off of there's a short solicitation, because I mean, there's not much to it other than, hey, here's the writer artist, here's the ones that come out. It's brief, high level. Does it pique your interest? And Drew, I definitely want to hear from you because you had some interesting words to say about your initial reaction to the cover. But I'll start out with Walt. I mean, does it pique your interest? I know that you're collecting a majority of the X-Men titles right now.
I'll get the first 5 or 6, and then I'll kind of know if I'm gonna keep up with it after that.
Real quick, if you're getting the first 5 or 6, why not just wait for the trade then?
Because I don't want to wait for the trade because I need to know if I like this book now.
I respect.
Yeah, the problem,
that's the problem. I just need to know if it's.
I need to know if it's good now because I don't want to wait and get a trade of something that now I've spent $20 on something I don't like. I mean, I get why. I mean, obviously all the money and stuff, but like I don't know if I like that book after the first arc, and then I won't read it, or either I continue to read it or I won't. That's fair.
It's Bernard Chang. So no. First, I'm not interested in this book. Purely only because like I don't want a recycled X-Men team. But that's before knowing that it was their sidekicks. But at the same time, it's like I don't want recycled. I don't want a character that looks like Cyclops. I don't want a character with the same powers. I want new, and I want something like different. Like I want some like young new X-Men that you're going to put in.
I'm under the impression that even though their powers may look the same, those powers may be completely different.
He shoots blue lasers instead of red.
Yeah. And his range is not as strong. Who the hell knows? So I don't know.
When Drew brought that up, I was like, that's a valid point because I feel like there hasn't been any long-standing new X-Men that look completely unique, new that I could think off the top of my head. And that just might be a personal issue, but how many X-Men have they tried to introduce that? I mean, and they have tried to introduce like unique new mutants.
I think the problem is that at least with X-Men, and do me a solid, look up the Leah Williams X Factor book so we can discuss that because that's the one. But what has happened is that they don't do a good enough job of graduating people to the main X-Men team.
No, yeah.
But what has happened, what I've enjoyed with the Hickman run and even some of in the previous iteration a couple years ago when they were all on the island, when they were all on not karaoke.
Utopia X.
Yes. Those from on those books, they just made everyone X-Men.
Yes.
So he's taking the best. My favorite idea is like, look, if all these people, there can only be so many people who just knew mutants forever.
Yeah.
Like at some point, Cannonball is just an X-Men. Sunspot is an X-Men.
Yeah, he's an Avenger.
Like Mirage is X-Men. Like Jubilee, these people are X-Men now. So that's kind of where I'm at. That's the one.
The artwork looks insane, and the team buildup looks even more insane.
The book I'm excited for is X Factor more than the other ones.
The only way that I would read this book, the Children of the Atom books, if it's like starts off and it's just like these kids think that like they like are this like I want all it to be just a fake thing. They find out like everything about them has just been fabricated, and like Sinister is like behind their whole thing.
None of that was shocking me because of the mutant protocol.
Well, I'm saying I would like if this is what that book is, I will give that one a shot because I would want to see how these characters are affected.
So
I'll just add my 2 cents as far as like that Children of the Atom book. I'll probably give it a shot just because I'm interested in supporting for sure, but seeing what a new writer, because I mean, clearly she's got to be new. I mean, none of us really know too much. I know that she's writing Morbius, but for her to get an X-Men book, it's pretty interesting. I will give you that.
This one is the jam, though. So
this is what X Factor.
This
number
is
one.
X Factor. So the premise of X Factor is going to be they'll be investigating the
missing persons and
all that stuff, but more importantly, who they bring back to life. So they'll be working strongly with the 5. So that immediately piqued my interest.
What's the 5 though?
The 5 are the five mutants who combined together bring people back from the dead.
Oh yeah.
Balls or whatever.
Yeah, so it's Egg. His new name is Egg. Call him by his proper mutant name now.
Yeah, jeez, bro.
So his name is it's Egg, Tempest, Proteus. Okay, Egg, Tempest, Proteus, Hope, and Elixir are the 5.
Okay. Well, I mean, so is the premise of this X Factor book, which is coming in April, written by Leah Williams, artist David Baldion. So it looks like the team is North Star, Polaris, Prodigy, iBoy, which I'm already interested in, Dakin, and Prestige, because they were all once considered like dead, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's X-Men. All these people have died at least once.
Well, I mean, it just sounds like
everyone has died except for iBoy and Prodigy. And the reason Prodigy, not anymore.
So he has his powers back.
Yes.
I was wondering when they were going to give his powers back.
They're going to address that in this book.
This is cool because Prodigy is one of those characters. Prodigy is actually an X-Men character that I followed. He showed up in...
He is in Young X-Men.
New X-Men.
New X-Men. He's a New X-Men.
He showed up in New X-Men, and he was he came up with the Hellions. So it was like Dust, Rockslide, himself... Elixir, a lot. It's just a gang.
There was a bunch of them that has kind of stood around for a little bit. They haven't always been doing Surge. Surge is another one that I like.
Surge was sick.
The Cuckoos.
The Cuckoos were a part of it, and then they started just murking them. They brought them. That was the first one because it was like I remember because I was
because they depowered a lot of them after M Day, and then when they were leaving, the ones that were depowered got killed.
Yep, because they were still attacked. And they let him stay. And I think he stayed on just to help. Even though he's not a mutant anymore, for the longest time, he's basically...
He wasn't a mutant, but the Cuckoos gave him... Because his power was just that he was just a polymath. So he was just super smart. He just knew everything. So the Cuckoos basically gave him everything he learned from his mutant ability. They just put it all back in his brain, so he knew all the stuff.
I really like this premise.
Yeah.
Because I guess it'll help. I'm sure they'll do a good job of explaining issue 1, but if you kind of need to know about the whole resurrection protocols that Hickman set up in House of X, Power of X.
Yep.
But it sounds like this specific X Factor team is mainly like if a mutant dies, they investigate like the who and whys.
Yep.
So that way they can possibly resurrect them.
Correct.
Which is pretty dope. And say what you will about Hickman's Power of X, House of X series. That when you talk about like bad pun incoming, but resurrecting the X-Men franchise and like giving them a new premise to like kind of build off of like these, like how many like issue 1s and series we're getting based on what Hickman like established.
Yeah,
like that's why it was so complex. And like looking back, I did say like the infographics sometimes were a lot because it felt like you were over explaining, but it makes sense because like I need to get to this level of detail.
See, I'm one of them people who like the infographics, but I got used to the infographics because I was reading the
House of X
that Black Monday Murders book. So that book is nothing but like infographics that are way harder to read than what's going on in there.
They're like, yo, am I dumb? Like, they're like, yo, we're going to give you this information. You're like, what? No pictures? Like,
nope,
fuck, how am I supposed to make sense of these fucking words?
These words? What?
Words.
Words? I didn't get this for words.
And you know what? X-Men is, like, this current run of X-Men titles is, like, definitely one that I wish I had more time. Well, I just did a bad job.
Have more money for it. Like, fuck all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, the money's a big play, but the money's, like, actually made, the struggle is real. Like,
the struggle is never not real.
And, like, these new crop of X-Men books, when they came out, I was like, oh, this is going to be extra real to try to, like, keep up with, like, this.
X-Books is extra money all the time.
And they're not stopping with, like, these issue 1s, man. Like, I wonder how many more they got in the pocket.
I don't know. I mean, I think probably what we're seeing right now will be it for at least the next until after Empire. And then we'll kind of know what's going on after Empire. Because they say it's an X event coming on.
Yeah.
either this year or next year.
So let me ask this, because I'm always trying to keep in mind like the new listener, the new person to comic books, someone like that's on the fence. Do you feel like this current run of X-Men? Because I mean, it's a bunch of X-Men titles, whatever. X-Men?
It's X-Men, New Mutants, Excalibur, Marauders, Fallen Angel, which is about to end. And there's one more I'm forgetting.
Wait, it's already about to end? Was it always meant to be a
It was going to be like a 6. Yeah.
So, I mean, I've told, and I think we've spoken about this on the show a lot.
Oh, X-Force is the other one.
Okay. So we've spoken on the show a lot about how House of X, Power of X was just a really good jumping on point. Like, if you were listening to us when it first came, like that series came out, I think I was recommending everyone. Matter of fact, our homeboy Brian actually got into X-Men because of House of X, Power of X. So I'm curious to know now, Walt, do you feel like these current batches of X-Men books are good jumping on point for like new readers?
Yeah, because they're just reestablishing some things. Like Excalibur is a good one just based off Betsy's now Captain Britain. Like Kitty Pryde for some reason can't get on Crocea in Marauders. So now she's just like a drunk sailor. And it's like awesome. And Pyro has
Listen, I'm going to grab the mic real quick. That is fucking sick. I stayed up till 5 o'clock. Well, I woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning and I read that book. Marauders is like the best X-Men book.
Pyro has a face tattoo. It's a lot of stuff going on. It's a lot of, like a big face. It's
the reveal. Here's the thing. The reveal of like Kitty Pryde. First off, they did it really, really fucking dope. The pacing of it is beautifully. So she can't get on the island. And then on top of that, she can't read Krakoa. You have this legacy X-Men character that's dope as fuck. And they've made her badass as hell. Like, dude, I'm like, this is going to be really weird. But it's like one of the things where like, damn, Kitty, like, I didn't know that you were this much of a badass. I just see you as like this little annoying kid for the longest time. But no, she's
badass.
Fucking people up.
So then we'll jump from that one to like what I like X-Force. So X-Force is... They got Quentin Quire in there, but also Black Tom is dope in there.
Black Tom is like a schizophrenia, right?
No, Black Tom is Banshee's cousin.
What does he do? Like,
he deals with the Earth. He's an Earth dude.
Okay.
So like him on Krakoa is just him like speaking, like it's just he's in heaven for him.
Oh wow.
So like I'll show you some of that. We'll go through some of those before you shake. But it's like characters like that that have been developed over the years. But you're seeing all these characters in like new lights because now we're all here with one mission.
Yeah.
To like make mutants dope as hell.
I think I
love them all.
And
man.
this is just my limited, now because I'm not as up to date with all the Marvel titles. But I feel like when it comes to Marvel, I think X-Men might be the most accessible, only because House of X, Power of X, that series is one really still current. I mean, it was just last year, but the impacts it's had to like the X-Men franchise and all the stories. Like if you read that and you can make sense of that, then the rest of it should be easy jumping on.
Yeah, that fool was walking around with a Cerebro on his head. It was just like, why does he have a Cerebro on his head? This is super hard.
Yeah. Well, look, I want to switch things up a little. I want to go on break right now. When we come back, I want to talk about some of the titles that we've currently been reading, but also mainly you and Drew's most anticipated 2020 comic books and movies.
Okay.
So we'll talk about that as soon as we get done with music break. I got another song by our man, a good friend of the show, Black Toilet. He dropped an EP called Cheeto Dust about last week. It's all instrumentals, so if you like the stuff that we've played before, you'll like this one. This song is called I Wrote Something. So we'll play that, and then we'll be right back. Shout-outs to Black Toilet, right?
All right, never mind. I thought I couldn't hear myself. Yo, welcome back, Short Boxers. That was I Wrote Something by Black Toilet. Once again, shout-outs to Black Toilet, and hopefully you guys enjoyed that. We're back from break, and we are going to wrap up this episode similar to kind of what we did in episode or 2 back with a special champion season. So real quick, if you send an email, I promise I got you on the next one. I'll read it when the whole crew gets back. But I want to jump into a special champion season, our 20 most anticipated 2020 comic books, movies, etc. Well, I'm going to start out with you because you've got a hell of a solid list already built up.
I just wrote like a quick movie list because I wasn't sure how I was going to do this. But I will tell you my most anticipated comic book that's non-X-Men related will be the Tom King Adam Strange book. Because the Tom King, what was the last one he did with Big Barda and them?
Oh, Miracle Man.
It wasn't Miracle Man, was it?
Yeah, you just said Big Barda. Like, yeah, Miracle Man.
No, that's not. Is it Miracle Man? The dude that
you just said Big Barda. Yeah, Miracle Man.
Okay, so the last. Okay, so.
Yo, and I know it was like a serious brain fart because the look in your eyes is like, yo, you stupid. Like, no, I'm not talking Big Barda. I'm sorry, Miracle Man.
Mr. Miracle.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Wow, I guess we were kind of both wrong in a way. Yeah,
Miracle.
definitely.
So,
Miracle.
Anyway.
Stupid now.
Nah, you got that one. Yeah, you got that.
That's the one.
They had us in the first half.
So, because this book right now, the two main characters in this Tom King book are going to be Mr. Terrific and Adam Strange. So, I'm kind of looking forward to that. Movie-wise, I wrote down like kind of a long list. So, I'll make it quick though. On the Rocks from Sofia Coppola. Doom by Denis Villeneuve.
Okay.
That's going to be super dope. The Gentleman with Guy Ritchie.
That's the one that I'm actually really excited about. That is actually getting praise, but I don't know if
out super quick. It comes out in like a week,
like tomorrow.
Yeah, The Photograph. That's an Issa Rae movie with her and Lakeith Stanfield. They're kind of like trying to figure out whatever their relationship. Invisible Man with Elizabeth Moss looks pretty interesting.
And what's that about?
The Invisible Man.
Oh, okay, so it's just the movie. It's not like
the
a
movie Invisible Man.
Okay,
not like a metaphor.
All right, that was like the Invisible Man. Okay.
No Time to Die, the new James Bond.
Ooh, I'm excited.
Obviously, The Eternals, the Tenet movie with Christopher Nolan.
Oh, is it called 1010 or Tenet?
It's Tenet.
Tenet? Okay.
Yeah. The Many Saints of Newark. That's the Sopranos movie that's coming out this year.
Is that based on? Where does that take place in the timeline?
Prequel.
Oh, the prequel.
It's a prequel.
That's a prequel?
It's the prequel. So it's going to be Tony Soprano's dad, his mom, all that. It's going to be that. So,
ooh, that's pretty dope. As far as like lore, that's kind of dope.
Yeah. Halloween Kills. Obviously, because I like the last Halloween. Last Night in Soho. That's the new Edgar Wright movie. And Bill and Ted Face the Music.
Bill and Ted. Yeah.
And then Coming to America too. Yeah. So those are all movies I'm kind of interested in, and I'll definitely end up seeing those.
Let me see if I can pull up my list real quick. Drew, what was on your list of like most anticipated movies?
I only picked one, and it's literally just the James Bond. Like that's the one thing that I'm hyped to see the most
because Kerry Fukunaga is doing it, and yeah, I'm just
there's a lot.
If it's his swan song for real, I'm excited for it.
And they get Homeboy from Mr. Robot. What's his name?
Yeah, the dude who won the Oscar.
Rihad something.
I can't think
Rami
Malek.
Yeah. That dude is going to be like, yo, that dude's sick. I'm like, all right, cool. And you were like, of course you have to play a Bond villain. Like
he looks like a Bond villain, kind of.
Imagine if it was like anything like inspired by his Freddie Mercury role. Like he just acts like Freddie Mercury the whole time.
Well, if he you know what? He cannot act like Freddie Mercury because
why not?
If he act like Freddie Mercury, he's gonna be basically acting like Javier Bardem in that other one. He'll be that level of creepy. If he was to be a Bond villain and then Freddie Mercury, then that's just gonna be basically Javier Bardem and like I say that James Bond where he was like taking out his teeth and then kind of like slithering on James Bond where you had him on that
yo, the way you use the word slithering,
there was a lot going on.
I need a shower. That was
there was a lot going on. What is I can't even think of the name of that movie with
so, real quick, I mean I definitely already said kind of my list, but only just to entice like content and combo. Yeah. Wonder Woman 1984 is on my list.
Yeah, forgot about that one.
Yo, and I'm actually really excited about that New Mutants movie.
Oh shit! Bro, that New Mutants, like the trailer.
The trailer.
Yo,
The trailer was
listen,
real good.
I don't have to watch anything else. The trailer was so good, and it came out in 2020. That's it. That's all I need.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hold on. I got. I think you said the photograph, but it was on my list too. I don't think I said it in the last one, but Issa Rae. Honestly,
And
I'll
that
watch
movie
anything with Issa Rae.
It looks kind of like Love Jones's.
Yo, right?
Yeah, that's why I was like,
And
oh,
you got like
need a new Love
Lakeith
Jones.
Stanfield. Like
Yeah.
he's gonna do great regardless.
he's a good actor.
Yeah. And for sure, I'm even more excited about this one that I mentioned, Godzilla versus Kong. After we watched, actually ended up watching that Godzilla movie last night. Well, not even the whole
Godzilla's
thing.
A ridiculous
Yeah.
movie, but yes, it's ridiculous in a good way.
Yeah. And I had Coming to America 2 on here as well. Yo, as far as like Pixar, and maybe y'all would appreciate this, but
Soul looks good.
Soul. There you go. Yeah,
Soul
you beat me
did
to
look
it.
good, yeah.
That looks, and it's an interesting premise too. Like,
Yeah.
that's kind of existentially.
And plus, I'm always kind of here for like Pixar movies that are like new. Like not so much on those like Toy Story 4 and all those. I know people like them, but I kind of just like the new ones.
Yeah.
Because I loved Inside Out. Loved that one.
Which one was that one?
That was the one with the feelings.
Oh, got it.
Sad.
Yeah. So that was Inside Out, and Up is just like a tear. Up just.
What you think about Coco?
Coco also destroys you.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Look,
Yeah.
Those movies always make grown people cry.
Yeah.
Guaranteed.
So, all right. Well, you got a comic book list. What's the most anticipated comic books you got?
I didn't write down a comic book list. I didn't get around to it. So I will say, anything coming out of the X-Men line, the Adam Strange book. I've been reading Philadelphia. There's a new Hickman image book coming out.
Yo, Decorum.
So
Yeah.
I'll check that one on GP.
So, real quick, do either of you recognize the artist Mike Huddleston?
No.
So, the credit that they got, at least in this article, was he did The Strain for Guillermo del Toro. So I think that, and I do remember, I think The Strain had a comic book adaptation. So it's either that or he did like storyboard or some shit like that.
Definitely, we've probably seen his artwork.
I
Oh,
just
for
didn't
sure,
know
for sure.
that we've seen it.
But Drew, do you know anything about like this comic? So it's supposed to.
I'm looking at y'all for answers.
Yeah, well, it comes out in like March, and there, other than like Huddleston's drawings, the only thing I've read is supposed to be like about like what would the Hickman say? Like, this is the most well-mannered group of assassins you'll ever meet. And knowing Hickman, it is also like taking place like high tech, like just like space, science fiction.
Fuck yeah, space.
So I'm kind of I
I don't know about space, but like like science fiction.
We're running with space. You said space. Space James Bond. All right, cool.
So yeah, those are things. Like I say, those are a couple things I can think of off top. And then if we go music, I mean, we don't know what's coming out.
Yeah, this is definitely as far as music. It's the one year I'm like, well, it's about that time for like the big, big stars.
So
to
I feel
drop.
like there should be a Kendrick album this year.
Yeah.
Maybe Rihanna will finally drop R6. Or is it R6 or is it R10? What are they calling this?
I think 6 is what
I think it's okay. So we still waiting to hear about what R6 is going to be about.
Man, there's nothing to do in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
Did somebody say there's nothing to Duval in Jacksonville?
Danny Duval, what are you doing here?
Your ignorance summoned me. Now shut up and listen to these words. North Florida's premier anime, comic book, sci-fi, and pop culture event, Collective Con, returns for its 6th year. On March 20th through the 22nd, stars from The Mandalorian, Game of Thrones, Supernatural, The Crow, Dragon Ball Z, and even famous Pokemon card illustrator Mitsuhiro Arita is flying in from Japan to join in on the fun.
Wow! That sounds awesome!
Why are you still standing here? Go buy your tickets today at CollectiveCon.com, you lovable Nimrods!
What else? I'm trying to think. There was something because they say the Kendrick album is like I've been hearing rumblings that it's like a rocket. Yeah,
I love that industry talk.
Yeah,
Yo, I've been hearing a rumble from where?
What's good?
Yeah.
Well, you're rumblings.
I've been hearing rumblings.
The rumblings.
The rumblings. Yeah,
Yo,
we here podding though. We podding right now.
Imagine if like when people say like, yeah, the streets is rumbling, like you can actually see them like standing in the like
the concrete and it's just like shaking.
Concrete shaking just a little bit.
And it's like whispering, but mumble like whispering like our civics. Oh shit, yo, y'all heard that?
Yeah, but
the streets is rumbling.
The streets is rumbling. So with the rumblings, the
rumbling. That sounds like a very bad diarrhea.
Well, that's the bubbles, not the rumbling, bro.
Well, that would be like the next level. Like, oh nah, bro, this ain't even the bubbling.
Ain't a bubble. This a rumble. I gotta go now. No, but it's rock influence on this Kendrick Lamar thing. That's what I heard.
Yeah.
So,
what part of rock you thinking? Like Beatles?
I don't know. Maybe he'll take us on a journey like he did with The Killer Butterfly, where it's like, okay, what is...
He's a guitar pick in this one.
Yeah.
Like, this whole album is about him metaphorically being a guitar pick.
That's something, or something similar. Obviously, you don't want to hear people like Terrence Martin do some stuff. Who else? Oh, that new Thundercat is coming. So there's always going to be like kind of good music.
And here's the thing: as much as like our anticipated lists are pretty like well constructed, the issues that's going to happen is the lack of time.
Yeah,
like I'm anticipating all of this. I'm excited for it, but I think the same issue I had in 2019, 18, and 17
is going to.
I just don't got the time to.
I don't have the time to read every book, and not even to mention like just books. Like I used to read.
I had a book guilt trip like this week too. I was like, B, God damn it, all you've been reading is comic books, you uncultured swine. Like, come on, man.
Got a stack of books back there right now. Man. Stack of books.
I have I got like that Benny Gold book that I still haven't read.
What?
Benny Gold. You know who he is.
I don't know what this is. Yeah.
Benny Gold. He's like the
you told me about that. You sent me all the links about his book. No, the other guy.
The creator of the Hundreds, and I cannot think of his name right now. Bobby Hundreds, yeah, Bobby Hundreds.
Okay.
Bobby Hundreds put out a book. I bought that Rakim book. I bought like this Southern book, like this book about Southern rap.
Yeah, that's about rap. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of this stuff that I'm gonna just have to in the next kind of month or so. Just kind of.
Has your strategy changed at all? Like, I think on a previous Bag and Board, we had asked you, like, yo, how do you break down, like, trying to keep up with all this? And I think you were the one that was like, yo, I have days dedicated to podcast, music, TV. Like, do you still have that going on?
I try to keep it like that for the most part. Like, the thing with, like, movies in particular, a lot of times I try to catch these movies in the theater because once they get to the house, it's just easier for me to just kind of, like, forget them. Like, sometimes I'll jump on stuff if it's, like, cultural zeitgeisty stuff that, like, okay, in order to be in the conversation, I have to see this, or I have to sit down and watch it. But if it's not something that a bunch of people is like screaming about, then half the time I won't go out and check it until like I just get a moment. But as far as like podcasts, that's like all day at work.
Yeah.
Fridays are pretty much Fridays and Saturdays for the most part are dedicated to music, and particularly Fridays. If I don't end up doing like happy hours and stuff like that, I'll just let new music go from when I get off work at about like 12 or 1 at the house or whatever, and then just play new music for the rest of the day. And that way I can kind of keep up on stuff. And then like Sunday mornings is always a good time to catch up on music too. Yesterday was a good day for podcasting because like football is ended, so now I kind of got my Saturdays and Sundays back. So when football ends, I got to like make sure I use this portion of the year to catch up and stay abreast of all things like super pop culture. Because once the fall come, Saturdays and Sundays are done. I'm watching football all day long. Do you want to? It's been a while since we had sports talk on this podcast, but do you want to go ahead and throw in your nominations for the Super Bowl so that way we can say, you heard it here first? It's looking like the Chiefs and the 49ers. I just don't see a way that Aaron Rodgers is going to be able to beat that San Francisco defense. Now, maybe if the Green Bay defense step up enough and he can put up like 14 to 20 points, that'll be enough to win that game. But I don't see that happening. And as much as we've been saying it every week, everyone has been wrong about the Titans. I was right about the Titans. I have a friend who I was telling him like 2.5 months ago that the Titans just bludgeon people to death when they play them. And everybody's scared to tackle Derrick Henry because he's like 6'5", like 260 or whatever. He's a big, strong man. Mm-hmm. No one wants to tackle that big, strong man. And they have 3 other dudes on the team built like Derrick Henry. No one wants to tackle those big, strong men either. But I think that fairy tale comes to an end. They're going to Kansas City. It is maybe the loudest stadium in football. And Mahomes is just going to do that Mahomes shit. So that's probably what's going to happen today. He's gonna put up 40. This game is at 3. This is a 3 o'clock game. Mahomes will
You
put
got to drive
up.
back fast.
Mahomes puts up he puts up those points so quick that it's just like if Mahomes didn't put up 15 to 20 points in the first half, then that game is done. Tennessee cannot score enough points to keep up with Kansas City. So that's why I say Kansas City and probably
I cannot.
San Francisco.
But who comes out the winner? Who comes out the winner? Just so we got it on record.
It's Kansas City winning this year.
Okay.
If Kansas City get there, they win it.
I cannot wait to experience the Super Bowl and come back to this timestamp. Well, I feel like you definitely need to look into doing a sports podcast. That sounds pretty dope.
I got my homeboy coming down here, and then normally we just gonna grab a bunch of chicken wings, a bunch of sandwiches, and then drink whiskey all day. So and then just watch the game.
That sounds beautiful.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nah. Well, you need to do a sports podcast.
I'm lazy, man. Look. I love doing this one, and I just don't.
You got no love. You got no love. You got no space for other podcasts.
I don't have the people. Yeah, and on top of that, I don't have the right people to really do something good.
Well, I feel that was a good compliment. I'll take that as a compliment.
Yeah,
It's a thankless job, really.
it's a thankless job, but it's hard to have good conversation with people. You know that.
It is. Well, thank you for that list, Drew. Do you have any anticipated 2020 comic books? Posers.
Let me think of a lie real quick. What do I know for a fact that's coming up? Honestly, it's just I'm excited to see Al Ewing's writing. The fact that you told me about Empire, I'm hesitant, but if it's Al Ewing and Dan Slott, I will give it a shot.
Yeah,
I'll definitely give it a shot. I'll definitely give it a shot. So I'm actually excited about that. And then the X-Men Fantastic Four book, because it's Chip Zdarsky, he's writing it. So I want to see what else he's going to do to make it so awesome. And then I just found out that Al Ewing is actually writing Guardians of the Galaxy. So that as well.
Yeah.
So you already have a guy that respects all the Marvel culture, does a really lot of good stuff. And I really want to see how they're going to get Hercules to space, because at some point he has to go to space.
Yeah.
When they did all that fast forward stuff, like at some point Hercules is going to end up in space.
So he's probably going to show up in his Guardians book at some point.
Yeah. So at some point, I think that's cool. And then that lends itself to if Marvel wants to borrow from this, it's not going to feel out of place.
Correct.
Yeah, I give you a 9.5 for that fucking landing. Ooh, that was damn. Drew's over here breathing hard.
I'm looking at that bottle like I'm gonna pour me a nice little drink. I think.
Football. It's definitely football time. Yeah.
We gotta timestamp that one. So, and only because we got a little more time, the batteries have not died yet on this recorder.
Cool.
So, what books are y'all most excited to see continue into 2020? And also, most excited to see continue into 2020, and maybe most excited title for you to catch up on. And real quick, I want to start with Drew, only because he's been killing it with this catch-up game lately. As far as Avengers: No Surrender, No Road Home. I think you're reading you're checking about another series right now, right?
Yes, I'm currently reading Jason Aaron's Avengers series, and he had mentioned previously before. He's like, "Yo, if you're gonna read one book, you got to read this book. If you had to pick one book at the comic book shop, fuck all this other bullshit. Get this Avengers book." And I'm not gonna lie, I'm looking at the covers of I like to just look at the covers and be like, "Yo, where are they at right now?" There's some stuff that I'm like, I need to know exactly. I know there's not a lot to this cover, but I need to know. They explore the Ghost Riders, which is cool because it's a flex for Jason Aaron, because he started with Ghost Rider, but now he is better as a writer, better at creative, doing all this stuff. So I'm anxious to see what he's doing to do with this Ghost Rider stuff, which is cool. Also, he's doing a really good job of paying homage to old type Avengers. That's how he doesn't have Hulk, but he has She-Hulk. So I'm like, all right, I'm cool with that. Blade shows up, he's peppered in there sometimes.
Yeah, Blade's been in there for a while.
Yes, and that's that's a thing that's really fucking exciting.
See, I was under the impression that, remember when that book started, he said it was going to always be certain people that would come and go. And I thought Blade was going to kind of come in, and after the vampire arc disappeared, he's still there.
He's still there, and he's kicking ass. Starbrand is so funny to me because Botter was one of the people that hyped Starbrand for me. He went on this whole Starbrand
Starbrand in the last
thing.
Avengers book was dope.
Yeah. So that's why I'm like...
Well, the whole Starbrand thing, actually, I think came, like you said, from that last Avengers book.
Yeah.
And it made me think of like, yo, my pops used to collect Star Brand, and I remember thinking it was such a random. Like I was like, what company printed this? It was Marvel's
a
like
Marvel offshoot company.
What was it called? Eclipse, I think it was
Or
Eclipse.
something like that.
Yeah,
and they just merged all those characters.
Yeah. But yeah, it made me think about that, and then I went on his Wikipedia, and I was like, damn, like have you like I'm sure you do now, but do you understand like Star Brand's origin and his whole power? Like, yo, that's
his
pretty
power
wild.
is like is
Kind of one of them omnipotent, like super.
He's an omnipresent type of Earth protector who can also just kind of destroy the Earth.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I say that because what they did was he's like this powerful guy. They bring him Hickman does like a really good job of interweaving, making him like an interesting character. Like he has his big
You
moments.
want me to spoil this next joke?
No, I'll tell you right now. So then the only thing that I know, at some point this dude goes crazy and him and Ghost Rider are fighting. And then he like goes crazy and like just dies.
No, Ghost Rider gave him the new Ghost Rider gave him that penance there and killed him.
Yeah.
And that was the first time this new Ghost Rider seen that penance there. But once that happened, the Star Brand has to go find a new person to go to.
Yeah.
Because the Star Brand has to always exist. They just showed. Now I think it's in this new Avengers that came out this week. The new Star Brand's in a woman that's pregnant.
Shut the front door. Really?
Yeah. And the Shi'ar, so what's cuz's name? The big Imperial Guard dude, the one Gladiator.
Oh yeah, that dude.
Gladiator's about to kill this woman, and then she's like, "Stand back! I got the Star Brand," and that's what
Star Brand, I got the Star Brand.
yeah,
Halt!
Halt! And that's because I think right now half of the Avengers, because I'm behind. I've got up to 23. I got to go and get those books.
Yeah.
So from what I can understand, there was a group of Avengers that was in space to go look for that Star Brand because they had to go find the Star because they know from the last time that Star Brand popped up the destructive power of the Star Brand if the person don't know what they're doing.
Yes.
So that's kind of what's going on.
Which I thought was really cool because it's already creating this whole new like, all right, but what was really cool is they're keeping it interesting because they giving you the most interesting thing is Jason Aaron's Avengers BC stuff.
It's been fantastic.
That's the most interesting thing to me, and I forget like all this dope Avenger stuff's happening, but like that BC stuff is the one thing that I'm like, oh, this is fucking.
The Iron Fist story
sick.
was good.
I haven't even gotten to that yet.
The Iron Fist story is good. The who else was it?
The Ghost Rider one.
I want to say they did Iron Fist, Ghost Rider. I think there's an Odin one.
The Odin one's crazy because he's with the Phoenix Force. Like he has like this love with Phoenix.
Yeah, and that ties into like some of the previous story. Did you finish reading all the Jason Aaron
Yes,
stories?
so some of the stuff
it shows
makes sense to me.
shows up in there. Yeah,
'Cause
like
when they
him talking to the bird, he was like this damn bird. I still
right.
His one true love was a redhead Phoenix.
I could draw another.
And like he's seeing out of his one good eye, trying to look at like what Freya's looking at. Like
Yeah.
I see you, bitch.
Yeah.
I could draw a 9.3 for that one. That was a good landing too, man. That boy is potting this episode, doing the most potting he's ever done. Well, what about you, man? What are some titles that you are excited to continue into the new year, or maybe even find time to catch up?
If I'm finding time to catch up on something, is jump on DC and finish up.
This has definitely been a very Marvel heavy episode, man.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna just jump on DC and finish up Tom King's run on Batman,
Mr. Miracle.
and then to be real, just kind of explore more DC books. I mean, like I say, the DC Universe app, you can just go on there, and then I'm gonna start really exploring those books that I've just never read because I've just never been a DC person. So now's as good a time as any. If I'm like catching up, like watching like a college basketball game or something, I mean, I don't have to be spending 100% of my time on that.
Mm-hmm.
I could be reading. That could be like my reading time. So that's kind of my reading time now. So I'll read a couple issues of a DC book, and then also I don't know, read a book. So that's probably what I'll start doing. So that's probably where I'm at.
You bringing up Tom King's Batman? That's definitely one of my.
And it just ended.
Yeah, and it's like, you know what? There's no way I should not be reading. One, like arguably the biggest comic book character ever. Two, like Tom King and like all of the quote like controversy I see like on Twitter. It's like, man, I need to be keeping up with this.
I don't understand why these people dislike this Tom King Batman book so much. I thought from what I read, I got up to, I don't know, I'm probably like on 50 something.
Yeah,
I thought the book was fine.
Yeah, to me, it's just fine. And maybe that's not enough for some people.
What the hell do they want?
I don't know. I mean, maybe Tom King's... I'm sure Tom King's asking that, too.
Look, man, Tom King legit wrote two of the damn best books I've read in the last 10 years.
In all fairness, usually the main critique I see of Tom King's Batman run that just ended is that people felt some way about Batman and Catwoman. One, like getting duped, them not getting married.
I think people were pissed about them not getting married.
I think
that was the turning point.
And then using, Batman's heartbreak to continue like this very long, convoluted story. People get some type of way when you paint Bruce Wayne other than like, untouchable playboy.
Untouchable. Well, it's the brooding part. But they about to be super pissed because he's basically finishing up his story in that other miniseries that's coming out. That Batman Catwoman miniseries that's coming out later on this year.
A miniseries to finish off everything?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so he's getting his continuance on that story.
Bad bitches.
So that obviously, like I read the first issue, like I say, Philadelphia. Have y'all talked about this on the pod at all or no?
No, what is it?
Okay, so Philadelphia is a new Image book. It's basically about black vampires in the projects.
I'm sold.
Yeah, I'll show you the first issue. And it's a cop involved and some other stuff like that. So I like the first issue of that. There's certain Image books I really want to come back. Hopefully this year Saga comes back. I wouldn't mind Southern Bastards coming back. I think Southern Bastards is coming back this year.
That would be amazing. But add Saga to my list of, man, why am I so off this? It's been a long time since I read Saga.
Yeah, but they haven't been out in 2 years. They haven't had a new issue in 2 years.
Damn, really? 2 years?
You're getting about a year and a half, 2 years at this point.
Okay, wow. Okay. Sorry about interrupting, but you were saying, yeah.
So I want to see Saga, Southern Bastards come back. I mean, because we just had like a bunch of Image books that I read end. So like Wicked and Divine ended, and so did East or West. Both of those books just ended. What else am I kind of messing with? Obviously, I'm messing with Criminal still, and there is a
Criminal's so good.
Criminal's good, and I feel like he got another one.
Yes, he does. Yes,
he has
does.
an original graphic novel coming out in.
Yep, and I cannot remember the name.
It looks like
of
a Western thing or something.
Me.
If I'm not mistaken, it's a Western book.
I know we talked about it on the show. I just can't recall off the top of my head.
So I mean, there's always if you like us, like if you're listening to this podcast and you are like us, so there's just more than enough stuff to kind of satiate what you like.
Yeah,
you just kind of figure out which ones that you'll be checking out, which ones you're gonna have the time for.
I will say I'd like to add to your point about like visiting like DC and be like, all right, what's going on over here? I kind of have that attitude this year about like some of the even smaller publishers.
Yeah,
like,
let me see what they're doing.
Like IDW. I think Dynamite is kind of like piqued my interest, and in all honesty, it's mainly because of like all of them Power Rangers team and like what they're doing with like these like kind of properties based on like cartoons and toys. Like, I've heard some amazing things about that Power Rangers comic book series. Like some like serious, like, they are doing great comic book stuff.
The premise of that show is good enough to where you have enough of a backstory to where you can develop a overarching character.
Yeah. But like I said, I just want to see what's good. What are they doing over there? Because it's got to be pretty unique and interesting. I mean, based off of like, me reading, being a capes guy for so long. Like I'm looking for like, what else are y'all doing out here?
That's why Image was always kind of like the go-to for me to get away from the capes. So.
Yeah. Get away from the capes. I like that. All right. Well, look, man, I think we are at a good stopping point. You got any last comments or words, Drew?
No, I'm just thankful to be here with my two associates.
Damn, associates. Damn, like we ain't known each other for a decade.
I got emotional last night. No, I'm just excited to be here. You guys are awesome. So this is great that I get to do this with you guys all the time and just hang out and talk comic books. So this is fun.
I like it. Lead with love. Lead with love. Yeah. Well, what about you, man? Any last comments? Anything you want to say to the fans, and or I don't know if you want to mention a comic book or something we didn't get around to.
No, I mean we mentioned more than enough stuff, man. I enjoyed this time hanging out with my colleagues, and
I like it.
Shout out to Kenny.
Our colleague.
Oh, shout out to the homegirl Nikki for yesterday.
Yeah, shout out to Freddie for that random awkward whatever the hell the conversation we had.
It was the hella conversation that. Offline, you just got to ask us one day about it, but it was a good one.
Offline, yeah. Well, man, I want to start by saying, you became a Shortbox patron last year.
Oh, yeah.
And that was, like, to me, a big honor, because it's like, Walt knows he doesn't have to, like, contribute or support the show. Like, he's, like, one of the creators. Like, what? But to have you willingly do that I've always wanted to say like thank you, and that meant a lot to me.
I will say this, and I say this to you all the time. If you don't buy stuff that you like, then they won't make it.
True.
And this is across the board with everything. Just because you can get it for free doesn't mean you should always get everything for free.
Well
Some
said.
of the stuff we have to pay for. So there you go.
Well said, man. That's a good. Yeah, I like that. I'm gonna start using that during those talks. I wanted to go ahead and speaking about, pardon me, speaking about patrons and Patreon and whatnot, I realized I haven't even shouted out the Shortbox patrons once in this episode. My apologies. Shout out to all 27, 28 of y'all. I forgot the count, but thank y'all so much for your contributions and continued support of the show. With that being said, we're going to wrap up this episode. Thanks again to all of our longtime listeners for joining us and holding us down. Thanks again to the new listeners, man. It's always an honor and a pleasure to know that this could be someone's first time tuning into the Shortbox podcast. Hopefully you learned a thing or two or at least enjoyed yourself. And if you ever have any questions about the things we talk about or you want to ask us a direct question, leave a comment, champion something, chime in on the conversation. We're always down and supportive of that. Shoot us an email at the shortboxjacks@gmail.com, or you can leave a short voicemail on our Google number 9045. My God, I do not remember it right now. But it's listed on our website, all right? God damn it, shortboxjacks.com. Oh, man, it's a new year. Anyways, man, thank y'all so much for tuning in. We'll be back next week. Yo, and I just realized there might be an opportunity to do another Bags and Boards episode next weekend.
Okay.
Ooh, yeah, we got to get that on the books. Walt,
Yeah, we'll see. Keep that.
Yeah. Two times 2020 for Walt. Yeah, that's got to be the goal to get you back on, Walt. With that being said, thank y'all so much for listening. We'll be back next week.
Yo, what happened to peace? Peace.